What's going on, guys? So just finished up my workout, did some squats today, and progressing through the week through this hypertrophy phase. I'm going to be squatting 2 to 3 times a week, deadlifting twice a week, and then pressing 3 times a week, which is bringing me to the topic today, which is going to be trying to increase your frequency on your programs, on your main lifts. I've done it a few times with good results and with bad results, so I'm just kind of going to give you some of the basics of what I've learned, trying to implement it myself, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and that way you guys can take it into your plan and your training and see if it works for you. Do you need to increase your frequency? Probably, but you don't have to. I know a lot of guys that decrease their frequency and get a lot stronger. So it's just a lot of trial and error. If you're a bigger, stronger guy, increasing your frequency is probably not going to be the greatest idea because your recovery isn't the greatest. Smaller guys, lighter guys, and mostly women can get away with increasing their frequency. But there are a few ways to do it successfully. So what you want to do is, you say if you're starting off squatting once a week and you want to move it to 2 times a week, the 2 things you want to look into is, 1, picking an exercise that doesn't beat you up or that doesn't mimic the other exercise that you've done throughout the week. So if I squatted on Monday, I would do some type of belt squat on Thursday. That way there's not a lot of stress on my lower back, and it's still a leg movement very similar to the other one. So I'm increasing the frequency without necessarily putting a lot of external load on my CNS. That way I'm able to adapt to it and recover, and that way I can continue to progress it week to week. And once you get pretty adapted with the belt squat or whatever the form of exercise you pick, then you can start adding in another barbell movement and adding in other stuff, which brings me to my next point is, when you're going to do that, make sure your assistance work is not also increased as well. So if say your squat day is you do a squat, then you do a second squat, and then you do some lunges, glute ham raises, that assistance work is going to need to be minimized until you fully adapt to the second day. So you can't have the same amount of assistance work on the first day and on the second day and expect to recover adequately for the next week. So what you want to do is minimize as much as possible. So let's say if you cut your assistance work in half on Monday, and then you added that second half to your extra squat day on Thursday, it gives you time to adapt to it, recover, and then you just slowly add a little bit more week to week until you have a complete full day of the extra frequency. So that's what I do with the belt squat. I think it's a great piece of equipment to add in there, and that's how I added in 3 days of squatting, and I'll progressively get to a bar on my back all 3 days, or I can back down if I feel beat up and use it here with higher rep range is what I prefer. And then same thing with bench press. If you're going to increase your bench frequency, you want to do so with maybe dumbbell work for a second day or a third day, not necessarily a barbell in your hand. For deadlifts, it would be, if you're a conventional puller, you would pull sumo on your other day. I wouldn't add more than 2 days in on a deadlift, and I wouldn't add 2 conventional deadlift days. Those are just really hard to recover from. So say if you're doing conventional pulls one day and stiff legs the next, that's going to be really hard to recover from week to week and progress through. So if you add in a sumo, it's a little less stressful on your lower back, and it's a different movement working different muscles, so it's a new stimulus that you're able to recover from. So if you're adding in things that are kind of the same stimulus, same movement pattern, same movement, that could present a little bit of a wear and tear issue. So that's just things you want to naturally progress into nice and slowly. Don't try to do this in 12 weeks getting ready for a meet. Try to do it after a meet when you have a longer extended period of time before your next meet. So those are the few things that I've learned adding them in successfully and into my program, and that's helped my squat and my bench press go up. My deadlift, I know conventional pulls just builds up a lot of muscle, makes you a lot stronger overall. So that's why I add those in. And then in the off season, I add in sumo just for technical proficiency, because I feel like it's still a lift that I need work with. So make sure that you're adding stuff in with a purpose, not just because everyone else is adding it in and everyone else is doing a full meet every single day of the week. It's okay to have a shoulder day, it's okay to have a back day. Not everything has to be so sport specific. You want to dissect each muscle group, build them up, and that way when you bring them into the competition lifts, it's easier to get stronger because you've taken the time to build up those muscles independently of the actual movements. So just a couple things to think about for frequency. If you have any questions, make sure you ask below, and make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share if you think it's a good video. I'll catch you guys next time.